On the 27th day of March in 1969, a little girl was born in Huntington, New York. She would be the third child for her parents. Her mother, an opera singer and vocal coach, and her father, an aeronautical engineer, had already experienced 9 years of marriage by the time the baby girl was born, and 9 years of racism and harassment for being an interracial couple. This included her mother's family disowning her for marrying a black Venezuelan man. 4 months later, on July 24th, and less than 40 miles away in the Bronx, another little girl was born. She was the second daughter for her parents, who were both Puerto Rican immigrants that met in New York City. Her mother was a homemaker, and her father, who was an army vet, also worked as a computer technician. Early on, both girls found their passions, one for singing, the other for dance. By the time they found themselves in high school, 40 minutes apart from each other, one was already working as a demo artist, so much so that she earned the nickname Mirage because she was never at school, so when the other kids saw her, they believed she was a mirage. The other threw herself into after-school dancing classes, performing in school musicals, and running track and field at her all-girl Catholic school. After graduating, each left home without the support of her family and relocated to Manhattan to pursue her dreams. Each fell asleep in squalor and cramped accommodations, wondering when those dreams would materialize. Not if they would happen, only when. Because to each there was no possibility of failure. Each woman believed her stardom was inevitable. And they were both right. Because these two New Yorkers, born in the same year, months apart, 40 miles apart from each other, were both destined for greatness. Mariah Carey and Jennifer Lopez would one day both be ubiquitous household names. They would be A-list stars of the highest caliber, with musical discographies spanning decades, #1 hit songs and movie careers, and successful fragrance lines. They would both be judges on American Idol. They would both famously date baseball stars, among many other tumultuous public romances and breakups. And they would both become mothers to fraternal twins. With all these things in common, it is a shame that these two megastars would never be friends. All it took were the machinations of one man to ensure they would always have beef. Welcome to JLO Beef, where I, Jaded Win, resurrect dead old beef for your entertainment. This week, I am serving Mariah, she on fire, versus JLO, she got a halo. Okay, I'll stop. Time to eat. To fully understand this beef, we must discuss the man at the center of this beef Paddington. You see what I did there? And that man is Thomas Daniel Mottola, known professionally and notoriously as Tommy Mottola. Mottola, another Bronx native, was a failed recording artist that founded a successful management company who later worked his way up to becoming the chairman CEO of Sony Music for 15 years. During this time, he signed huge artists like Celine Dion, Destiny's Child, Jessica Simpson, Shakira, the Dixie Chicks, and yes, Mariah Carey and Jennifer Lopez, leading Sony Music to $65 billion in sales. As a result of this, Tommy was one of the most powerful men in music, and he always got what he wanted. And when he met Mariah at an industry party and heard her demo, he wanted Mariah. First as an artist, and then later romantically. Note that when he met her, she was only 19, and he was 39 and married with 2 kids. 4 years and a divorce later, in 1993, Tommy and Mariah were married in a lavish fairy tale wedding, but the true fairy tale for Mariah was finally realizing her star potential after a rocky childhood. Starting with 1990's Vision of Love, Mariah would dominate the Hot 100 charts with 15 #1s by the time her run at Sony's Columbia Music was done in 2001. That is not even counting her mega smash All I Want for Christmas Is You, which was released in 1994, which hit #1 in 2019 after Billboard changed some of their rules and then has hit #1 again and again every year since then. During these 11 years, her albums sold close to 40 million copies in the United States alone, contributing to the reported 220 million lifetime units that she has sold, which puts her in contention for the top spot of best-selling female artists. She is only rivaled by Madonna and Rihanna. Mariah was Tommy's golden-throated goose, and as time went on, he became more and more protective, more and more controlling, until Mariah found herself isolated and with very little control over her music, image, friends, or even her own movements. In her memoir, The Meaning of Mariah Carey, Mariah details how controlling Tommy was during their relationship. Even though Mariah was now one of the biggest recording stars on the planet, Mariah felt so much like a prisoner in their 51-acre estate that had a 22,000 square foot mansion that she nicknamed her home Sing Sing, after the Sing Sing Correctional Facility prison in New York. So Tommy would do things like track her around the house using the intercom system, and he hired a full-time security detail for Mariah that reported to him and pretty much kept track of Mariah and what she was doing. Mariah describes an incident where she was recording music in the home with rapper Da Brat, and they decided to leave and not tell Tommy, and they went to McDonald's to get French fries, and Mariah's team went ballistic. So much so that Jermaine Dupri, who was there with them, he called and he pleaded for them to come back.
Her and Brat, they done broke out, took a car and left. No security, don't know what's going on. So I'm downstairs trying to make the song, get the song right, and then all of a sudden it's like an alarm going off in the house and people running around frantic. Like, you go to Tommy Mottola house, I guess I can say this. Tommy Mottola house, you have like people outside with guns.
I believe that. Shit.
Yeah, it is. Tommy and everybody's looking for Mariah. She's disappeared.
Right.
She's completely left the house. And I'm downstairs and Brat is with her, so they think I'm in on it.
Right.
So I'm getting like questioned.
Tommy's controlling behavior drove Mariah away from him, and after meeting baseball star Derek Jeter and realizing there were other better looking, better muscled fish in the sea, Mariah and Tommy separated in 1997 and finalized their divorce in 1998. Side note, Mariah's song The Roof from the Butterfly album details a steamy meetup she had with Derek Jeter before she separated from Tommy. Also, strangely mirroring the demise of the marriage, after Mariah and Tommy sold their giant mansion for $20 million, it actually burned down in 1999 while being renovated, setting a record at the time for the most expensive private house fire. The divorce put Mariah in a very difficult predicament. She was now free to pursue things with Derek Jeter, which she did for a little while until things kind of fizzled out, but career-wise, she was still signed to Columbia Records, which was owned by Sony Music, which was still being run by, yes, her ex-husband, Tommy. And Mariah didn't know it yet, but instead of pushing her career like in the past, he was actively trying to sabotage it. Jennifer Lopez spent the early 90s working as a dancer. Most notably, her biggest break came when she joined the dance troupe featured on In Living Color, which was an SNL-like sketch show that highlighted the early talents of all the Wayans brothers, David Alan Grier, Jamie Foxx, and yes, Jim Carrey.
First of all, we have a new fly girl coming all the way from Bronx, New York, Miss Jennifer Lopez. We got some new additions to the cast I'd like to bring out right now before we get the show started. Come on out here, y'all. This country bumpkin right here from Texas, very funny stand-up comedian, Jamie Foxx.
Jennifer danced on the show for 62 episodes between 1991 and 1993. After that, Jennifer transitioned to acting, and after being cast as Selena in the 1997 film, enjoyed a string of hit movies in 97 and 98 that included Anaconda, U-Turn, and Out of Sight. These movies poised Jennifer at the cusp of the A-list, with critics praising her on-screen charisma. In addition, in the pop culture sphere, much ado was made about her famous curves, especially one curve in the back area, and she was really at the time redefining beauty and sex appeal for a whole generation, as she offered an alternative to the super thin models and actresses of the 90s. Notably, Kim Kardashian has stated that Jennifer was a major inspiration to her, and thus, since all of the other Kardashians follow Kim's lead, then she was pretty much the inspiration for the whole Kardashian clan. So we can either thank or blame her for that. Even though Jennifer was finding major success as an actress, she missed performing on stage, and she was willing to take the gamble that performing music would be the thing that crossed her into superstardom. And she was ready for that. Jennifer's first music demo was actually a Spanish language song called Vivir Sin Ti, which her manager Benny Medina took to the work group in Los Angeles in 1998. And of course, who was running this work group but Tommy Mottola, who seemed to be running everything at the time. Right away, Tommy had a little bit of a different vision for Jennifer. Speaking to Billboard magazine in 2007, Jennifer explains that it was Tommy's idea to not do a Latin album, but to do an English one. And he was right, because in 1999, her debut single, If You Had My Love, hit #1 and stayed #1 for 5 weeks on the Billboard Hot 100, and her first album, On the 6th, ended up going 3 times platinum. Side note, during the recording of this album, Jennifer actually met and worked with her future boyfriend, Sean Puffy Combs, known now as P. Diddy, and her future husband, Mark Anthony. In 1999, Mariah also released an album called Rainbow. She only had to complete this album before she could leave the label and Tommy, so she recorded it in only 3 months in a mad rush to escape the increasingly toxic situation she had between her and Tommy and Sony. Starting with 1997's Butterfly, Mariah had pushed back on the pop music that Tommy wanted her to make. Instead, she began to incorporate more and more R&B and hip-hop influences. She was also done with the turtlenecks and the button-ups and wanted to flaunt her figure as she pleased.
I was stuck wearing a turtleneck for the first 5 years of my career. I couldn't wait to get that nonsense over with.
Disagreements with Sony and, of course, Tommy about which songs she released as singles marred the album cycle for Rainbow, with Mariah alleging that certain singles underperformed due to Sony, aka Tommy, not promoting them properly. The album still went 3 times platinum, but was the first Christmas Mariah album not to peak at #1. Mariah parted from Columbia officially in 2001 and signed the largest record contract ever with EMI's Virgin Records, worth a reported $100 million for 5 albums. Mariah was on top of the world. Not only was she finally out from under the thumb of Tommy, she now had an even bigger record contract, and Virgin Records was giving her full creative control to realize a project she had started conceptualizing in 1997 under the working title All That Glitters, what would become simply later known as Glitter. Glitter would be a feature-length movie paired with a Mariah soundtrack album. Unfortunately for Virgin Records and for Mariah, this project proved to be the biggest misstep in Mariah's entire career. And Tommy was there all along, making sure that it would be. Now that Mariah was not signed to his label, Tommy could wage all-out war, and he had a new queen, or pawn, depending on who you asked, to fight Mariah with. He now had a movie star, the highest paid Latina actress of all time, signed to his label that had proven herself commercially successful in the music industry with her first album. This star was now also attracting major attention from the tabloids and fans for dating hip-hop star and future mogul Sean Combs, known then as Puff Daddy. This star was now being referred to as JLO and was primed to ride the wave of hip-hop infused pop, a wave that Mariah had started all the way back in 1995 when she added Old Dirty Bastard from the Wu-Tang Clan to the remix of Fantasy, against the wishes of Tommy Mottola at the time, I might add. During the year 2000, as Mariah was filming Glitter and working on the soundtrack album, Jennifer was also working on her album, her sophomore album, what would later be titled JLO. And Tommy, well, he was working too, working on Sabotage, allegedly. During this time, Tommy caught wind that Mariah had licensed a sample from Yellow Magic Orchestra's 1978 song, Firecracker, which she was going to use that for her first Glitter single, Loverboy. Tommy rushed to also license the sample and then use it for the original version of JLo's single, I'm Real. And since JLo's album was released first, Mariah was forced to swap out the sample and replace it with another sampled melody for Loverboy. As if that wasn't enough, when Tommy found out that Mariah had worked with rapper Ja Rule on a song for the Glitter soundtrack called If We, he personally contacted Irv Gotti, head of Ja Rule's label.
So Tommy Mottola calls me at like 6 a.m. 6, 7, it was obscenely early, and he calls me because he found out me and Rule made a record with Mariah Carey. And at the time, he hated Mariah Carey. So he was pumping Jennifer Lopez to compete. So he calls me 6, 7 o'clock in the morning. And I'm like, what's up, Tom? What the you want? He says, Irv, I need you to do me a favor. I said, what's up? I need you to make a record with JLO, but I want you to put Ja Rule on it and make it a duet kind of a record. So make the record. He gives us the jet, the Sony jet, for the week. Because he wants us to fly and shoot the video, appear in the original, because remember, I'm Real was a remix, appear in the original video, so it leads into the remix video, and we was like, yo, we got shows in Philly and things. He said, just take the jet. Oh, and did we have fun on that jet.
He personally contacted Irv Gotti, head of Ja Rule's label, to get Ja Rule into the studio to record a remix of JLo's I'm Real that sounded eerily very, very, very similar to Mariah's song. In fact, the remix sounded so different from the original version of I'm Real that when both versions helped catapult the song to #1 on the Hot 100, it raised eyebrows in the industry and at Billboard that having ostensibly 2 different songs with different melodies but just titled the same thing was kind of unfair. So this tactic actually worked so well that Tommy later deployed the same strategy for the JLo single Ain't It Funny, with the remix also featuring Ja Rule and both sounds also not sounding anything alike. Following complaints of unfairness, Billboard actually changed their policy in 2002 so that after that date, identically named songs but with substantially different melodies would no longer count as one song on the charts. With Tommy's help, JLo was reaching higher and higher levels of success in the music industry, but at the cost of Mariah Carey. As for Mariah, as the Glitter release approached, Mariah began showing signs of physical and mental exhaustion.
Very well. We're all just living in the moment of being positive, and there's like people called haters. No, Cindy. One more thing. And we give them positivity.
Let's go.
You see, I can't even get a minute. Bye.
Hang on.
Accumulating in her mother, calling the police, and having Mariah escorted out of the home that Mariah paid for in July 2001. Shortly thereafter, Mariah was hospitalized. At the time, the press reported that it was for an emotional and physical breakdown, with some going as far as attributing some broken glass and minor cuts to a possible attempt at self-harm. Glitter was delayed because of this, and upon its release proved to be a major flop both commercially and critically. Although it has achieved cult status in some circles many years later, with fans rallying and doing a Justice for Glitter campaign that actually really worked. The soundtrack also suffered Mariah's lowest sales yet, and Virgin Records decided at the time that they would rather just settle and pay Mariah $28 million to have her just walk away from the contract rather than pay her out the full $100 million over the 5 albums as originally planned. One can imagine that these were headlines that made one person very happy. Tommy Mottola. He had proved that Mariah was nothing without him. Her life and career were in shambles at this point. But Mariah wasn't done just yet. It was going to take a lot more than Tommy Mottola or JLo to take her down. And only 2 albums later, Mariah would make an epic comeback when she released in 2000 what is arguably her most successful album, The Emancipation of Mimi. It's 2016, Jennifer Lopez opens her timeline and she is being tagged a lot. That isn't new for her, as she is one of the most followed women in the world, but now it's not just her image she sees, it's Mariah Carey. It's JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, and video clips of Mariah saying, I don't know her. The meme had been around as early as 2010, but the summer of 2016 it had reached global virality, with fans praising Mariah's expert shade towards Jennifer. Most fans attributed this shade to Mariah deeming JLo as not talented, The YouTube video that the meme was pulled from was uploaded in 2008, but the actual interview took place much earlier and was attributed to a German show called TAF.
Dafür kommen immer wieder Gerüchte über angebliche Konflikte mit den Konkurrentinnen Jennifer Lopez und Beyoncé Knowles auf.
I love Beyoncé. Beyoncé is
Ich liebe Beyoncé. Beyoncé ist fantastisch.
great singer.
Sie komponiert gute Songs und ist eine exzellente Sängerin. Außerdem ist sie eine sehr süße Person.
Very sweet.
Und was ist mit JLO?
Die kenne ich nicht.
Ups.
Articles on the meme that I saw only attribute the clip to the early 2000s without a definitive date. I only found one source, knowyourmeme.com, that dated the clip to July 9th, 2001. However, that timing didn't seem right to me, so this is a case for Sherlock Homo and his powers of deduction. Evening, governors, it is I, Sherlock Homo, and I will get to the bottom of this mystery if it's the last thing I do. My first clue that this clip was not from 2001 is that they used a clip of Beyonce's song Work It Out from the Austin Powers movie, which did not come out until June 2002. In addition, the clip they used for JLo had a Macy's backdrop, so I searched for a JLo Macy's event and found that she wore the same outfit in April of 2002 while promoting her janky-ass JLo clothing brand. So unless tough were German time travelers, which maybe they were, I deduced the clip itself could not be from 2001. However, it could still be possible that the clip used an older interview of Mariah but aired it in 2002. So I then looked into the July 9, 2001 date referenced on knowyourmeme.com and found that Mariah had been on the Tough show in Germany on that date. But it was a different interview that does not mention Beyonce nor JLo seen hair. Note that in the 2001 interview, Mariah has blonder hair, and that Loverboy era, she had more of a feathered, choppy hairstyle, almost feather faucet-like. That does not match the meme. To confirm my theory, I then researched if Mariah had been in Germany in 2002, and eureka, I found it. Watson, she was in Germany in 2000, in November, looking like this. Note the hair, it never lies. I learned that from Legally Blonde. I object. So I can confidently say that the I Don't Know Her clip is dated November 2002. Case solved. And that is a Still or Beef exclusive. Homo out. So now that we know the reason for the shade and the timing of the shade, which is during the Charm Bracelet era of 2002, we can see that Mariah, straight off of the lowest point in her career and possibly life, of course, would have some negative feelings towards the woman that Tommy Mottola was pushing so hard to be Mariah's replacement, going so far as to sabotage Mariah for JLo's benefit. One key fact that we may never know is how much of this did Jennifer Lopez actually know about during this period of time. Was she an innocent pawn of a scorned ex, or a complicit accessory to sabotage? That we may never know. To close out this episode, I will revisit the aftermath of the meme reaching its peak in 2016 with JLo and Mariah going back and forth, which of course mostly took place on the Bravo show Watch What Happens Live, hosted by Andy Messy Boots Cohn.
I know from back in the day I've read things that she said about me that were, not the greatest, but we have never met. Like, we don't know each other. I think it's from like kind of word of mouth of things that have happened in the past that I'm not really aware of. But I don't know. I would love to meet her and I would love to be friends with her. I think she's incredibly talented.
Mariah Carey knows Jennifer Lopez so much that there's even an I Don't Know Her t-shirt. I saw at your concert the other night.
They make their own merchandise.
I know, they bring their own merch. Do you know JLo at this point?
The audience member said it.
When they were offering it to me, they were like, "Well, we want you to come do this." I went and saw a bunch of shows. And I saw everybody. I didn't see Mariah because at the time she wasn't playing. She hadn't started yet.
Who?
But I saw Britney, I saw Shania.
No, I'm playing because that's what Mariah said about Jennifer one time. I'm not trying to start anything. I'm just...
she does say that.
Yeah, she does.
She's forgetful, I guess.
Yes.
I don't know. We've met many times.
But do you know each other?
No.
No.
Okay,
She says you know her.
Okay, I know she. You know what? I'm very forgetful.
Okay.
Apparently, I'm forgetful.
Yes.
Because I don't remember the fact that it was just like, "Hi, I'm so and so," and then move on, and then like, "Hi," that's it.
Hi.
During the Billboard Music Awards, you were caught texting during Mariah's performance.
That's it.
Describe your
Let me tell you
relationship
something.
with Mariah.
Okay, first of all, that was not fair then with the texting thing because I watched a lot of it. It was a long performance.
Okay.
I watched most of it. I may have looked down for 1 second.
Demi Lovato, I didn't know this. She kind of shaded you on social media. She made assumptions about Ariana Grande, and she said Mariah's a legend and she's so talented, but she disses people. It's nasty the way she treats Jennifer. What would you say to Demi?
I don't know her either, and so I wouldn't say anything to her. And she should come up, introduce herself to me, say, here's my opinion. What do you think about it? That's how you handle okay?
We'll be right back.
Hi, how are you?
How are you?
You look so amazing.
Oh, you're so sweet.
What do you think about people still referencing I don't know her all these years later?
I still don't know her.
So there you have it. The funny thing to me is that the I don't know her meme is actually not even the most savage dig that Mariah has made at JLO. For me, it's this quote from 2001 that really takes the crown.
Mariah, who calls herself Supergirl, says she often sleeps just 3 hours a night. When told Lopez claimed to get 8, Mariah said, quote, "If I had the luxury of not actually having to sing my own songs, I'd do that too."
Wow, I bet Ashanti and Christina Milian probably really like that one too. So I hope this episode of Stale Old Beef satisfied your hunger and your bloodthirst. This video took a lot of work, so I would appreciate it if you like it and you subscribe as I slowly and hopefully make my way to the promised land, monetization. So until next meal, see ya.